Before the virus, where were you employed and how has it affected you since then?
Well, I was working at a nursery, Tidwell Nurseries, and I was helping with the topiaries there. I was a welder. I was trying to weld the topiary structures, and then as of yesterday, news came abroad that the government has shut down everything, so we were basically quarantined.
What is your perspective on the pandemic and quarantine? Can you go a little bit more in depth?
I guess it's shaken up a lot of people knowing that, the simple things in life you can't do, like going to the movies or hang out or even going to church.
So it really makes you think about how much we really took for granted before.
Yes, we did.
What is one thing that you miss doing as a hobby or something that you would normally do on your time off that you can't do now since the quarantine and pandemic?
We like going to restaurants.
True, you can't even do that.
No. And going out to like the grocery store, just getting out and just seeing what was out there, and we can't even do that. So,
despite the current situation, what is one positive thing that you have been able to do that you normally wouldn't be able to do or had the time before?
Well, I guess working more on the garden, and this of course is our cornfield that we're going to be doing corn and okra, so.
Oh, cool.
I'm doing more of that, so. I mean, I would try to make time anyway, but and then that's going to be our regular garden. We're trying to put sunflowers too. I guess that's one of the positives.
Farmers, as you and many other people out here, they could show others that they don't necessarily have to rely on the good modern grocery stores.
No, and we're trying to, well, I can't say it for everybody, but I'm trying to get everything ready so that way we can start planning. So if this quarantine or if this pandemic still exceeds, then we won't go hungry. So we'll have fresh, if not meat, we'll at least have vegetables.
Great to hear that you've taken a negative thing and turned it into a positive. How has the pandemic affected your family, friends, loved ones?
Well, in a way, it affected us.
How drastically?
It makes us paranoid now if we cough or sneeze or something like that, or if we have, because we just got over, well, I just got over like a cold or something. We were just afraid it would be, the virus that's going around. So we're like, oh no.
So it makes people a little skittish, yes, you might say.
And as my dad says, nowadays your brain is your enemy. So
what is one thing you think people can take away for the good from this horrible situation?
Knowing that we shouldn't be taking things for granted. I guess a lot of people do, because it could happen again. Probably not as in anything could happen, like war or something like that, and then we're all pitching in together to do our share and trying to get through it. I guess a lot of it, what people can take away is, I guess, going back to the old family values. Everybody being so closely together, supporting each other, and of course God.
Thank you for your time. So that was it pretty much for the interview. It's just one out of the millions and millions and billions of people who have been infected and trying to survive throughout this whole pandemic. But let's talk about more behind the scenes. As a film student, I not only get creative in front of the camera, but also behind the camera. There's a lot of creativity, like what angle you use, what kind of lighting, do you use a 3-point, do you use natural? But obviously in my interview, I used natural light, meaning I used outside. There was no 3-point lighting going on anywhere. The sound was pretty good. One thing I didn't use, which I kind of wish I did, is wish I used a bounce board, because that might have reflected a little bit better off my brother's face in terms when I was shooting, because it was a bright sunny day then. And for other stuff like camera angles and stuff, I just tried to do, as you saw, I did a lot of zooming. Looking back, wish I just really stuck to one type of focus point, not all over the place, whether it was just staying close up or staying far back, and maybe using a direct chair like this one would have helped. Just in terms of as a film student, you do have to get creative. Like I said, not only in front of the camera, but you kind of have to think outside of the box behind the camera as well, in terms of how do you want it to look, because you can't make it look a certain too bland, meaning you can't be so much of one focus, so much of one background, so much of one this or that. You know, you have to spice it up a little bit. In terms of shooting, you never know what's gonna happen, and sometimes things don't go according to plan. You just kind of have to bounce back, get around them, and try your best. The recent news that I've heard lately, at least for the state of Georgia, it may start be opening up on Friday, and then slowly increasing the amount of businesses, the amount of people who are able to come out and coming back into society. Obviously, because of the coronavirus, everybody's gonna come out with a different perspective. Nothing's ever gonna be the same. This was historically life-changing. Growing up, you know, we learned about Pearl Harbor, about 9/11. COVID-19 is going to be that historical topic for my generation's children and below, and maybe even generations a little bit older. Like, stay safe, and we'll see you guys next.